March 4th, 1929.
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time?
I was born in Dixon, Wyoming, March 4th, 1929.
Okay.
And we had my father and mother had a ranch over there. But beside that, he was in the Army.
Oh, wow.
So we traveled all over the country until 1949, which is when I married my first husband.
Mm-hmm.
And after we were married, we moved to Moffat County.
Okay.
We had a ranch up in the northwest part of the state.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's what brought you here, is the ranch.
Mm-hmm. Right. And the fact that I got married and my first husband, Bob Terrell, was a native of Moffat County.
Okay.
So that's how come we ended up in Moffat County.
Mm-hmm.
And we ranched up there, and then finally in about 1963, I moved to Craig and left him on the ranch.
Mm-hmm.
Put my two boys in school.
Oh, okay.
I have two boys, a son Pat and a son Tim. So I put the two boys in school, and then we went back and forth to the ranch all that time. On the weekend we'd go to the ranch, and then we'd come in for school.
Okay.
Meanwhile, I went to work at the assessor's office.
Okay.
And I worked there for 7 years. That was in 1963, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I went to work in the assessor's office. Then, I think I can get through this in about 5 minutes. Then, in 1974, my first husband died.
Mm-hmm.
He was a diabetic, and he died. And so I kept the ranch, and my younger son went ahead and worked on the ranch out there and kept it going for for a while. And then, in about 1990, I ran for county clerk.
Oh, wow.
And was successful, and I was county clerk for 20 years.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
And then I quit and retired and had a bookkeeping business. So that's about it.
Oh,
That's the story of my life.
Wow. Okay. So let's rewind a little bit. Can you tell me more about your ranch, and how far was it from Craig?
About 75 miles northwest, the extreme northwest part of the county, right up against the Wyoming line.
Okay.
And we ran cattle.
There were no, buildings, that's why you had to come here for your boys' school, right?
Well, there was a school at Powder Wash, which was an oil camp, but the older boy went there for a while, and then we didn't continue.
I see.
So then we came in here to school.
Okay. So what were your experiences like here in Craig when you first came, and how did the people receive you?
Well, they received me very well because my first husband was a Terrell, and that's a very well-known, was at that time a very well-known name in Moffat County.
Okay.
Very well liked. Those people were, and quite a few people.
Right.
So I was accepted, and I knew most people, a few, so I didn't have any problem getting along.
I see.
But I didn't do a lot when my younger son was in school. I just tended to him until I finally went to work at the courthouse in '63.
Wow. And so what was Craig like at that time when you first came?
Very nice, very nice. It was quiet, and everybody knew everybody. But I don't know, you just, I can't explain it. It was just a very nice little small town. But then during the early 70s and late 80s, or late 70s and 80s, the plant was built out here. And then we found out, Craig, I found out we couldn't jaywalk anymore because there was too much traffic.
Right.
So anyway, that was...
So you saw some of the development of more of the traffic and more people coming in.
A lot of new people, and that's been the trend ever since, I think.
Right.
Now I work out at the Interfaith Food Bank, and I've worked there for 11 years, and it's amazing how many. Early on we didn't have a lot of people. Now we're getting more and more, and so many of them are young men who can't find work, and they come in and ask for food, so it's really kind of sad. But that's now. That's not then.
Right. And so, how have the demographics changed then since you first came to Craig? And
you mean the building and that?
The population, as far as different kinds of people.
I don't know that it's changed. Well, it was about probably around 8,000 when I first came.
Okay.
Then it increased to 10,000, which was what it was all the time I was in the courthouse. I couldn't tell you what it is now. I don't know.
What were your experiences like in the courthouse and working as the county clerk, right?
I was the county clerk.
Yes.
First of all, I worked in the assessor's office for 7 years,
Right.
as I said.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, it was interesting. I mean, I was the clerk to the Board of Commissioners, so I was their secretary as well as being the county clerk.
Right.
We took care of licensing all cars and recording all documents, and then I was also the bookkeeper. I wasn't, but my office was the bookkeeper for the county,
Oh, I see.
and also for Road and Bridge. So,
Wow.
yeah, it was
So-
very interesting.
So what, I'm not familiar with government
Mhm.
type stuff, so being in that position, how did you see Craig change over time, or were there any exceptional stories that you can share, or?
Not that I can think of.
Okay.
No, it's just that, well, our offices were all very close. We all knew each other,
Mhm.
the other officials in the other offices, and we knew the sheriff, the assessor, the treasurer. We knew the commissioners. We were all very, very close.
Mhm.
But I don't know that there are any particular. There are probably a lot of stories, but none that I can remember.
Right. Okay. So what do you think about Craig today after, coming in before and...
Well, I liked it better then because I knew everybody.
Right.
Now I go to the Safeway, which I've shopped at Safeway for 50 years,
Oh, okay.
and I go in now and I don't know anybody. I used to go in and I knew everybody. We were all there.
Mhm.
I don't like that kind of an atmosphere, but then on the other hand, I'm not a very sociable person, and so I don't really like to get out and
Me neither.
do a lot. So that's probably one of the reasons I don't. I do quite a bit of volunteer work, but
Okay.
not where I meet people so much.
Mhm.
But it was a lot different when I first came to Craig. It was just one little town, it was just
Mhm.
like a little town, and
Yeah.
you knew everybody.
Right.
Now you don't, and everybody I talk to says the same thing. They don't know anybody anymore.
Uh-huh.
It's just really different.
Right. I know, in talking to some other people, that that's why they moved out of Craig, and you still live here in Craig, correct?
Mhm.
So what keeps you here then? If
My family.
Your family.
My second husband, we were married in we met each other in 1975, but we didn't get married until 1984, I think, something like that. And he has a son and daughter who live here,
Oh, I see.
and they have their families that live here.
Mhm.
And I have a son. I had two sons. One of them lives here permanently, and the other one is now working here. So
Okay.
that's what keeps us here.
Yeah.
And if the winters are bad, but we just don't go outside.
Mhm.
And we could go. People say, "Why don't you move to Grand Junction?" Well, what's there?
Mhm.
My family's all here, so
Right.
that's what I like.
Yeah. What do you do for recreation as far as, or what did you do then, and then maybe different now?
Do you know that then I was so busy taking care of this house in town, driving out on the weekends and taking
Mhm.
care of we had a huge mobile home out there.
Mhm.
I'd ride with my first husband, of course, and
Mhm.
or take him out and drop him off and come back and then go back out and pick him up, and that was really my recreation.
Okay.
Then when I got into Craig more, I was invited to a couple of card circles,
Oh, okay.
bridge,
Uh-huh.
but I just didn't care for it.
Okay.
I'm not a very sociable person,
Mhm.
and I just didn't really care to play cards all afternoon and gossip.
Mm.
So, and I was busy with, as I say, going back and forth.
Right.
Now, if I do anything outside of my home, it's volunteering. I'm a food bank, and then I'm on the board of directors here at the museum, and
Oh,
and then I'm extremely busy with my church, the Episcopal Church,
Oh,
St.
okay.
Mark's. And then besides, my second husband sold his business, and it made quite a bit of money.
Mhm.
So we just traveled all over the world.
Oh, wow. Where have you been?
Everywhere, Europe and South America
Amazing.
and let's see, Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, and well, just all over. Europe. We've been to Europe several times,
Oh, wow.
and we just used that money and
That's
traveled
awesome.
everywhere we wanted to go. So,
Yeah, of course.
yeah, it was neat because I had never traveled before. The furthest I ever went was one time we went to Rollins for a movie with my first husband, and that was a big deal.
Yeah. Wow.
So it was quite a change.
But Craig is still home, of course. And
Oh
that's
yes,
why.
oh yeah. Neither of us have any desire. My second husband, Bob, his name is Bob also, was from Washington State,
Oh, okay.
and we go up there. He has family up there, and we go up there once in a while. But that's about as far away as we get now.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's amazing. What's your favorite place, if I can ask,
Here,
that you've traveled to abroad?
well, you aren't going to believe this, but it's Estonia.
Really?
It's a country between Russia and Germany. And it's Tallinn. Well, you probably know this. Tallinn is the capital, and we just loved it. So it's a walled city, and you could walk around and inside the walls, and then you get outside and go up on a hill, and it was interesting. I like that. We like Rome.
Oh, Rome. I actually just came from there.
From
A
Rome.
week ago. Yeah, about a week ago.
Did you really?
Went on a cruise with some family.
Oh yeah.
That was one of the places.
Rome is. Where else did you go?
Well, it was a Mediterranean cruise, so we
Mhm.
started in Spain, went to France,
Mhm.
and Italy, and Monaco.
In Monaco?
Yeah.
We've been there. And did you go to Turkey?
No, not.
We
We'd like to.
One of our trips, we went to Turkey, and my younger son said, "Oh, you don't want to go there. They're very dangerous there."
That's what
That
they
was the
yeah.
friendliest, sweetest
Aw.
people in the world that you could
Wow.
imagine. You couldn't walk down the street without one of them stopping and wanting to talk. Are you American? You know? And the other amazing thing we found about in Europe was that everybody speaks English. Almost everybody speaks English. But we went into a little gift shop one time, and there was a young boy there. He was probably 15, 14 maybe. And he told me he spoke 7 languages,
Oh, my
enough
goodness.
that when people came into the shop, he could converse with them.
Yeah, that's
And
amazing.
he spoke English very well. So.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
What else? Oh, can you talk about your volunteer work that you do currently and more about that? I thought that was interesting.
Well, I've worked at the food bank for 11 years, and if you're not familiar with the food bank, we provide food on an emergency basis 3 times a year to families.
Okay.
And we give a variety. There's meat and vegetables and bread and eggs and that sort of thing. And they can come 3 times a year. If they want to come oftener than that, then they have to apply to our board of directors, of which I'm the secretary there, naturally. Anyway, it has been going on since the 70s, late 70s, and it was started by my church, the Episcopal Church, which I guess that's why I've always been interested in it. The only other volunteer work that I do is here at the museum. I'm on the board of directors here at the museum. And several years ago when I first started here, I did more actual physical work, but I'm 85 now, so I'm 84, 85.
So you don't look it, ma'am.
I don't feel like working quite as much as I used to.
Right. Okay. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, something that's kind of interesting. No, it's not interesting. It's a little sad. When I was a senior in high school, I got infantile paralysis and nearly died. I was in the hospital in Denver. But I got along just fine. And through the years, I have a bad arm and a bad hand. Through the years, I've just done fine with it. But now I have what's called post-polio syndrome, which means it's coming back. Strangely enough, and so it has slowed me down considerable. I can't. I
have no idea.
I can't. There are a lot of things I can't do anymore. I used to be able to, but that's all right. Everybody helps me.
That's awesome. So do you get treatment here in Craig, or do you have to go out for?
There's nothing they can do now. At the time, I spent 3 months in the hospital in Denver, and I just missed having to go into an iron lung. It was pretty touch and go for a while, but I did miss it. They didn't want to start me there because then your muscles just stop. So I didn't, but now there's nothing they can do. It's just coming back. But anyway, that's not a terribly interesting thing, but
No, it is. I mean, it's your experience, of course, so
Yeah,
it's
sure.
important. Yeah.
do you know about my father?
Your father? No, I do not.
Well, it won't mean a lot to you. When he was a little boy, he was Buster Brown, the little boy with the shoes.
Oh, okay.
He traveled all over the country with his mother giving shows, and he was Buster Brown.
Oh my goodness.
Now they have a book here that my dad and I wrote. My dad wrote it mostly, and then I just added a little bit, but you might look at it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And so, did your family settle in Wyoming? Were they originally from there? Or?
Mhm. Yeah, they were originally from there, but my dad was in the Army, and
Right.
of course he traveled. Well, eventually he was in the Second World War and he went overseas, but we traveled. I never, ever went to the same school twice.
Mm.
In fact, one year, four different schools. You
Oh
too?
my goodness. Yes, Jack and I are both military brats, so,
so
we
you
know how
the
that
feeling.
goes.
Yeah, you start one place, and
Mhm.
so, and in fact, I was going to school in Boston when the Second World War broke out, and my dad flew immediately to Fort Knox, which is where
Oh
he
my
was,
goodness.
and then my mother and I then drove down later,
Right.
and we lived in Fort Knox until he went overseas. So
Oh, wow. What did he do in the Army?
he was
Like
a colonel in the Army.
Oh,
Lieutenant
wow.
Colonel. Well, he ended a colonel.
Uh-huh.
But he had gone to military school
Mhm.
when he was young, and he graduated. Second World War, he was the youngest second lieutenant in the First World War.
Wow.
Very young. We have a newspaper clipping telling
That's
that.
amazing.
So he hated it, but
Oh.
he wanted to be a cowboy.
Oh, really?
That's why we came out here.
Wow. That's incredible. Any other things that you'd like to share? Any other stories about Craig, or do you remember
Mostly
any?
about, well, probably when I get home I'll think of a lot of things.
That's fail. Everyone.
Yeah, that's always the way. No, Craig is, it's just home to us. And basically since we have our families here,
Right.
and it's just, my second husband, Bob Baker, and I, we courted mostly up at this little Signal Hill.
Oh, at the restaurant?
It used to be the place to go, you know.
Yeah.
That's where we did our courting.
Oh my goodness.
And-
How was that? I've heard stories here and there about Signal Hill, but what was your experience?
Oh, it was wonderful. Of course, we knew the owners. I'm trying to think. And we knew the guy that was the chef.
Was it Dottie? Dottie
Petrini.
Yes, Petrini.
Okay, they bought it from the Petrinis.
Oh, okay. So you knew
I know
the people that owned it after the Petrinis. Okay.
Yeah. And anyway, they were just good friends, and they were friends with all of us, and
Mhm.
we just really enjoyed being with them. And
Right.
Joe Wenas was the chef, and he was just a fine. That was where we did our courting.
Oh, so was it like a family style restaurant, or
No,
was
it was a nightclub.
Okay, it was a nightclub.
More like a nightclub.
Okay.
Earlier on, they had bands and dancing, but then when Joe was there, they didn't. I don't think they even had a jukebox in. But it was just a bar and a really good restaurant at
Really?
that time. Yeah.
That's so neat.
It's hard to find a good restaurant,
Yeah.
but there are several in Craig. But usually we go out to the golf course, which is the place to go now, I guess. I don't know.
Mhm. That's so amazing. So you have, I'm sure, tons of memories at,
Oh.
at Signal Hill.
Oh yes.
Wow. What was it like in there? Like, could you describe what it?
Well,
I don't know.
he went up some steps, but then after a while he had to put in a ramp. But anyway, you go up some steps and go into the foyer or whatever. Then into the dance floor was over here.
Uh-huh.
The restaurant part was here, and then over here was the bar.
Okay.
I'm sure that's picking that up. And then you'd usually go and sit at the bar and talk to Joe for a while, and then somebody'd come and get you to go sit down at your table.
How neat.
The two people that are coming to be interviewed in August, I think, the Cliftons,
Oh, yes.
they were our best friends.
Oh.
In fact, when my first husband died, the Cliftons kind of took me in because I was kind of alone in a way.
Of course, yeah.
Except I had my two boys, but Pat was gone and Tim was working at the ranch, so they kind of, and so we'd just been and then they really liked Bob, my second husband, so that
Awesome.
worked out.
That's wonderful. What was, going back a little bit to you mentioned your boys, and I forgot to ask, how were their experiences in school, and if you remember anything at all?
Oh, they, Tim, the oldest one, well, both of them were a little bit into athletics, but the oldest one had a kind of trouble in school till he met this really nice teacher, and I can't right now remember what his name was. If I think of it, I'll tell you. But they just kind of took a liking to each other, and he did very well from then on. Tim, when he was in high school, his father died when he was 17. His father was sick almost all of Tim's life, and so his whole thought was the ranch, for helping his dad, and he just didn't. School was not what he needed. Neither one of them wanted to go to college or do anything like that, so which is fine with me.
Yeah, everyone has their own life path.
That's
so
right.
yeah. And so now, you said you have grandchildren too?
Oh, I have grandchildren and great-grandchildren.
Oh my goodness! And so they're all here in...
kind of close. I have a set of great-grandchildren, twins, that are in California, but their father lived here, and their father is my son Tim's son.
Okay.
And of course, I've been pretty close with them.
Yeah.
But my current husband, Bob, has a boy and a girl, and then the girl has a set of twins, and the boy has a boy and a girl.
Oh my goodness! So you must be busy then.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So yeah, it's nice that we're all pretty much around here. So.
Where in California are you?
Close to Sacramento.
Oh, okay. So Northern California.
Is that northern? Yeah, I guess it is.
Yeah.
Tim and I drove out there right after the twins were born because we wanted obviously going to see them, and we just did fine, and get there, and we visited and everything, and then when we took off to come back, it was kind of stormy. We got up on Donner Pass, and it was terrible.
Oh dear.
And so Tip got out to put the chains on my car. Well, the chains were too big.
Oh dear.
But they wouldn't let you go unless you had chains on. So he put the chains on as best he could, and we just barely went, so that they knew we had the chains on. We had we were almost 7 hours getting over Donner Pass. It was just terrible. But then when we finally got down to the bottom, and we made it then and got home. But it was. But we did get to see the babies, and a little boy and a little girl.
You have some very interesting experiences that I found very interesting. Is there anything else that you'd like to add? I know you keep adding, so.
Yeah, well, nothing that I'm sure if you'd like to come home with me in the afternoon, I'll tell you all kinds of things, but offhand I don't.
No, it's wonderful. Thank you very much.